Most of the enduring consequences of COVID-19 pandemic to young people, based on a Kenyan experience, nobody was kind of, we were all taken aback, and initially we never thought it's as heavy as it turned out to be. So we are seeing several consequences, and one of them, we're finding quite a bit of psychological stress. Some maybe because of the transition and the anxiety, because they've been sent away from school or colleges and they are home. And they don't know what is going to happen about their education, what is going to happen about their jobs. And for that reason, there are very many questions, and that causes anxiety. The point number two, what we are seeing, the consequences to the young people, we are finding a little bit of exclusion. You know, some homes don't have equal resources, and some are more endowed than others. Therefore, we can see some form of inequality. Some of the young people who are having their meals in school, so when the school is closed, then you can find that they may be likely to be excluded from some welfare. We have also found, like, being in school, in my context, for the most of the young people, is like an equalizer. Everybody gets the same dose. But now when they are being told they can't go to school, then we realize that they are experiencing quite a bit of, we may have quite a number being excluded. We have also seen from the young youth the loss of income, because maybe they were doing some daily wage work, and now the fact that they were not able to continue with their jobs in hospitality, in areas like transport, in areas like small informal sectors, we are finding that they have lost the loss of income. And of course, that is a huge disruption when young people who have been doing small gig work here, and they cannot be able to continue with it because where they were working, those organizations are closed. We are finding them quite losing income. And for that, also staying at home has increased some conflict within the home. We are finding they stay at home, maybe they're given responsibility to watch over the young ones, or they expect them to go and they do something so that they can bring income. That's not what they were doing when they were in school, when they under job. We are seeing also quite a number of, because now the government decided to use some online learning, we find private schools doing much, much better. But the public schools, some, maybe 50%, are on digital platforms, but the others in rural areas, in Islam, where people live many, they are not able to get that kind of learning going on. That means we find that some of the youth can get school dropout because they are not able to cope. In our context, quite a number of schools prepare the pupils or the students for examination. So we can find some inequality. Some will be prepared more than others, yet the exam is likely to be done around November. And I think also because there is a bit of curfew, that means the government has done restriction from when, from 5 a.m. to something like 7. So when young people are found a little bit outside, and especially the girl child, and maybe they have to look for escort to their homes from the security officials, some of them have encountered defilement or some experience of assault. And also we are also finding some of the young girls who may stay home. The cases of defilement has increased from their relatives, from people known to them. These, we had those cases before, but now they have increased to almost 30%. So, and I think that has also a consequence that it does not support the youth. Of course, being idle, most of the youth, there is a tendency to engage themselves in some crime, or they wanted to try out being innovative. They want to try out things, and some have gotten into problem where they were not supposed to be. They are found in some areas which they have broken the law, and one of the consequences, especially if you are found that you have broken the law of curfew, you are put into quarantine. That is an intended outcome, which now is a consequence that the youth are not able to cope with. I think basically those 5 or 6 consequences are we feel them, we see them, and which is happening as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. In Kenyan experience, I think we do recognize a big percentage of our population is youth. And those youth between 18 to 35, they make about 40%. Therefore, we find those in school, those who are working, that this pandemic has affected them, that has made the government start thinking of comprehensive program that can support those in school and also those maybe who are at the workplace. Those in school, the government has started sensitizing the digital learning, where the government has started putting infrastructure so that the teachers and the pupils and the parents, of course, parents are not very used to teaching or they are teaching their children, but now they find themselves in a situation where what the government has done regarding digital learning, then that some of the effort is bearing fruit, because of course it has also a side effect. Sometimes parents are seeing the children are taking too much time on the screen, and sometimes you have no control what they are doing. But we have found government effort where they have come up with a program, a structured program, where learning takes place during the day. We can say in Kenya about 70% are doing some digital online learning in one way or the other, through the mobile phone, through the television, and through even Zoom is used a lot. But almost 30% does not access that. We also want to engage the youth as partners to undertake tasks like food distribution. You know, they are vulnerable, disabled. So the government has come up with a program, and especially in the slum area, to help with the cleaning up. It's being called a Kenya Hygiene Program. What this will do, will be able to put a little money on a daily kind of a stipend. They do the cleaning, the fumigation, and also distribute the food. And also we are finding that in the wake of this COVID, there's a lot of fake news. And since we want that information to reach the youth, some of the youth are engaged in giving information from the Ministry of Health so that it is the right information. And one effort in that program is also to make the youth, because they're the biggest population, first take care of themselves. Can then get information that will make them, it will be dangerous if they don't practice the measures that the Ministry of Health has given. These measures are just the usual one: wash hands with soap, wear your mask, stay at home, and keep social distance of at least 1.5 meters. So we are telling the youth that they use their social media to communicate that. We are also thinking that it's easier. We have found where the youth are also having peer encounters so that they can influence one another to be able to keep with the measures and also to be able to innovate. Again, the government has also decided to allocate some resources to target youth program. That is through the Ministry of Finance, some of the resources that will be able to support youth program, especially putting in ICT infrastructure. So I think I can see that that is likely to support the youth, because now there is more emphasis of using in digital and e-commerce most of the things are E. Therefore, the effort to support infrastructure is very important. We also see that in some slum areas where people are very poor, government has already mapped using social community leadership has mapped out the very poor, and we have started government giving social protection to those very vulnerable youth from slum areas and other densely populated, and what the approach here using cash transfers. We have also seen some policy action that the youth, we start, even when we are doing, there are several responses. But initially, we realized the youth and the women were not like considered in the responses that the government was mapping out. And we didn't realize that, of course, some of the youth are women, that even maternal and child services were being constricted because everybody was focusing on the COVID. So I think this is one experience that we learn as you move. So the government has bringing some of the policy action that could support the youth. I think we are finding that some of the youth have become very innovative, resilient, and they have some ventures that have come as a result of, and the government is supporting them by giving them economic stimuli, a little bit of funding to support their businesses. Also, those who have really lost their job, just loss of job, 100% loss of job, because there was no, because of lack of job, have been able to get some financing through government funding agencies so that they can be able to either be retained on the job, or they can also be able to earn a living while the COVID pandemic challenge is going on. We know this will be for quite a while, because I think now the government is clear. We don't know how long this one is going to take. So we need that resilience, constant communication, so that the youth have all the information that they need to make their own decision, and also where for them to partner with the government. I think as an experience of this COVID pandemic, government has to provide the leadership in terms of communicating and having school infrastructure that can, and together partnering with the community, so that they can have infrastructure that can support the youth either resuming school. I have in mind that those vulnerable communities where they have dropped out of school, we should not just wait till they'll come back to school. We need to reach out when that, in fact, even not after the COVID, even when the COVID is going on, the government, we are already thinking of how can we reach out the communities to find that there's some learning going on, and it also involve them how they can participate in the ongoing program that the government is thinking of, the online learning, and also empowering teachers to be able to be in touch with their students. Government also can, we are seeing a situation that moving forward, we always need to support the most vulnerable, especially those who are coming from the slum areas, and those who are poor, so that we have finances or resources to support them as they continue back to school or resuming back to their jobs. We find also the government right now is also looking at some of the policies that can we work with the companies that employing some of the youth, so that the companies give them some resources so that they don't lay off the youth, those who have the jobs, or youth who have got who are now sent home and they are being paid 50%. Government is also supporting by giving those organizations some funding. So there are quite a number of efforts to keep kind of to keep the youth occupied and at the same time to support them during this difficult COVID pandemic. A well-functioning TVET, in my view, and in Kenya, what we are trying to do, we think any well-intentioned TVET must have infrastructure that supports online learning or digital learning, because that is the way of the future. Also, a functioning TVET should offer skills that provide a solution to the community. And we have found TVET that maybe are going to food manufacturing, TVET that are starting tailoring, TVET that are supporting what to provide solution for what is needed within the community. We are also seeing TVET that are also now to start supporting, because of this experience of COVID, TVET needed to have mental health support because of the trauma some of their students have gone through. So I think it's very important that as a checklist, much as we have the content, the training methodology, but we need also to have student support services that it cater for the student welfare, including mental health. I also think a good functioning TVET should also have some life skills, not just the hard technical skills of how to do masonry or plumbing or mechanical, but they also need life skills that give students some agility in case, and also to be able to mitigate against another crisis. So I think that is important. And I also think finally, a good TVET should also be able to provide even school meals, because we realize that when for those who are most vulnerable, if they are not provided with maybe bursaries and they are not provided with the school feeding program, then most likely they are not likely to sustain being in the TVET. Also, we need TVET that are led by people who have competencies in reading institutions of higher learning, so that they'll be able to understand how is the work changing, the work of the future is changing, so that they'll be able to instill those skills to their students. We find the jobs of the future, especially in Kenya, will be coming from manufacturing, might come from construction, and if we don't have skills within, then it becomes very difficult to offer jobs to the youth.